Hello, and welcome to Vernissage of the Court. Miscalculation on my part, or more accurately, that I forgot that I was teaching a painting class tonight. So I won't be joining you live, and instead, the last 3 shows of the year are going to be pre-recorded. So thank you for joining me. And tonight, I'm working on a kit that should have released today. I'm finishing up on the Yule kit. So let's go to the canvas and get started. So what I've got in front of me are 2 2 full boxes. I'm going to be working a lot on I'm going to be working on adding color. I just now see here, I don't know if you can see my, right here, there's a break in the inks that match these symbols here. This is, excuse me. This is a symbol. I believe a pagan symbol for Yule. And it's used to decorate this runner. I'm not going to bother to fix the inks. They're going to disappear into color anyway. But what I will be doing is painting this in with a moderately destructive style. Let's make sure. Nope, wrong way. There we go. It's a moderately destructive style where I'm going to build up with colors and shading right on top of everything, and you relying heavily on the history brush in a history state. So I just opened the file, so it automatically defaults to the open or the original file for its save state. It's a history state. So let's sample some colors and get into it. I want to start with the cloth here. So I've chosen these 2 specifically because they are fairly representative of the season, and they are, and then here you see another one that I've completed already, and then right next to it is one I've been working on. But they are fairly representative of what's going on with the kit. Right now they're just filled with a generic color that I felt like was fairly representative. Now normally I would start from the back and move my way forward. What am I sitting next to? Oh, that one's mostly complete. So let's go ahead and draw a marquee around these here. I'm going to pick a deeper, darker color, a little less saturated. I'm going to tap some of that in there. Come back up here and sample the original red. I'm squeezing this recording in between getting off of work, having finished dinner, and trying to pass the time until I go to see Spider-Man tonight. I'm recording last night, Thursday night, and so I'm eager to see how the movie is. I'm going to an 11 p.m. showing, specifically because it was what was it, Dolby Atmos or Dolby Cinema or something like that, the big fancy surround sound that shakes your seat. I'm not particularly fond of loud noises, but I do like the soundscape, the sound sphere of that viewing experience versus something else. I actually bought my tickets tonight, like as I was leaving work, and so the nearest the earliest showing after I got off work was like an hour of me getting out, which meant that I was going to be thoroughly in the middle of cooking dinner and other stuff, normal everyday responsibilities and chores and what have you, errands, that I wasn't going to actually be able to make that. Otherwise, I definitely would have gone to an earlier showing. But also, because I'm painting a teaching class tonight, I'm actually showing up at work like some 3-4 hours later anyway. So, it all kind of worked out. But being where I live, that was not an issue to get tickets. So I'm going to create a new save state here, a new history state here, and I'm going to pick some browns, and we're going to lay in some of these table details. And in the process, also get some of this back area and get it all kind of darkened down. And so that all of our attention is drawn towards this rather intriguing looking pastry, some kind of Yule log roll, pastry roll. Makes me think of a pumpkin roll, which I don't know about you, but pumpkin rolls are some of my favorite. And I feel like they're hard to get right because after I had my first one or two that were incredible, it's like trying to chase a dragon or some such, or whatever the phrase is, to try to find the next one was just as good. And I don't know what happened or what was in that first one that made it so incredible. Like everything was perfect. The pastry itself, the cake part of it was perfectly moist. The cream wasn't too fluffy or too messy. It had the perfect consistency that was able to keep its shape through being sliced. It was a whole thing. Some browns. So nope, not that one. I don't think that one either. So the base brown I've been using for wood has been this one, but these tables are not what you call live edge. So the platter that the cake is sitting on has some of that original bark that was on the tree. That's called live edge. So these tables, the plate that the slice of the cake is sitting on, are all finished work. So they're not necessarily going to be so deep and dark. I mean, stains can be the case too. But I do want to create a contrast between the center of the log platter, the live edge. So I think I want to bring this red into it. I'm missing most of the kit that's done so far is missing a lot of red, which is why I wanted to do these, because everything else I'm seeing so far has a lot of blue in it. And that's not a problem because it's mostly supposed to be white and kind of an evening snow drift. But anyway, need to pick some browns here. That one's going to be higher saturated. It needs to be darker. So with that selected, I'm going to do one of these at a time because I need to rotate the canvas so I get a decent I get a more natural stroke as I move my arm across the canvas. And when I say my arm across the canvas, I'm pivoting from the elbow to get nice consistent streaks, which isn't that important. It's wood texture, and natural things very rarely tend to be perfectly parallel to each other, and it's a bunch of fibers. Whoa, that was the C button. Don't want the C button, want the B button. They're not even that close together. So anyway, let's go with a bigger brush here. Got that, and go with the middle color. Just get this filled in, kind of a base. We'll come back to this kind of nougat for mid-tone. Put on a smaller brush. I want to just streak this brown across the grain, trying to match the direction of it, but we're not paying attention too much to it. Switching back between the two colors to kind of create the nice color shift of the grain. Going to sample this nougat, bring in some of that back into this, because I think that's going to be our base color. So I think what I'm going to do is click on the palette and fill one of these squares. What's going on? Why are you not filling? Is it because you're locked? What's going on here? Are you not updating? So here's the problem I've been having with Photoshop lately, and it's been incredibly flow hurting. It's been damaging my flow. Is that Photoshop, I don't know if it's my computer or if it's Photoshop, but it's not updating. I'm willing to bet it's the computer, but I don't know what to change to make it better. What's going on here? Okay, that's the right layer. And it's not a smart object. So why aren't you filling this space? What's going on? Oh, I had a selection. That's what was going on. Okay. Anyway. That's what the wood looks like. I'm going to go ahead and say that that's good enough now. Whoops. Not on the right layer. Make this brush much bigger. We're just going to pull back on that. And on this, I think I want to make this banner here a gold color, because I also need to bring that color into the kit. And now that we got the banner on the table back, we're going back to the original color. So I need to get this dark color back, because I also got to do this table too. So we're going to rotate the canvas again to get us the angle for these. I'm going to fill it with this medium color. Create a new history state and just fill the space. So on this, this particular table has a, I want to say it's like it's a breadboard end, where all the slats have been tied together by one board on the end of it, so the grain comes in at a perpendicular angle. Maybe it's just the two colors. When I was drawing these original pictures, it was rough times, because I couldn't get the composition in a place where I felt like it was okay, and it felt like I was just repeating the same composition for both of them, which isn't that big of a deal, but it felt off. It felt weird. Felt like I was cheating myself more than anybody. So I had to walk away from it and come back and try again. So this kit has been a pain in the butt, honestly. Because while working on it has been fairly quick and fun and easy, it has not been quick or fun and easy to actually be able to sit here and do the work. Something is happening almost always. Okay, I'm going to create a new history state, and we're going to fill this with color, and then go in and the striations. Kind of with a history brush and bring it back to what it was. So while we still got this nougat color, I want to work on this plate real quick. I want it to be a bit more red. Bring up the saturation, and we'll see how that works. I'm going to rotate the canvas all the way around so I can get the curvature of my wrist into the texture here. Do that history state again, and then we're going to fill it with this darker color, because it'll overtake this red just a little bit easier. Color the whole thing. Doesn't need to be perfect. I can still see a little bit of red here. We're going to be working it back and forth with this highlight color. It's not really going to matter. Get a tighter brush so I can get more defined. striping. So tonight we are listening to a special holiday themed playlist from Stream Beats. Stream Beats, if you don't know, is a license-free music, I want to say service, more like a publishing name, house, brand, something like that. I'm not super familiar with the structure of the music world. What? Dang, I started recording with an empty bevy. Lame. Anyway, so you can use their music to, whoa, I pressed C instead of B. I don't know. And so C is the crop tool, and it showed up on a crop. It started to bring in a crop based on the area I defined while I was trying to do the colors on these. Okay. Now I'm going to come in with dark color. We're going to press escape to go back to this. Bring in the dark color, to lightly shade some of the shadow portions that should be in shadow, and come back with the highlight to help define this edge. Really pull it out from the background of the table. Back in with the darker and follow it. Add some more contrast. Really sell the scoop of the plate here. Anyway, Stream Beats is license free, so you can stream it without any worry about DMC takedowns or what have you. And that's the music that I've been playing the entire time I've been doing this the vernissage of the court. Going in with my history brush to clean up this outside area. So the reason why I'm doing this, using the history brush to clean all this, is because my usual coloring method is really very, very time intensive, and allows me to be pixel perfect with my selections and my colors, but takes so much time. And honestly, that amount of work for what I'm doing here is unnecessary and will go absolutely unappreciated. Reason being is these are gonna be an inch. They're gonna be printed out at about an inch wide, or an inch and a half wide, or something like that, or inch and a half tall. Whatever, what one of the dimensions is an inch and a half. Either way, that amount of attention to detail literally doesn't show up in the print, and that's fine. I save these as 600 pixels per inch images, but that's not, well, what am I trying to say? I think it just blinked something into my eye. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that the reason why I am saving them at 600 ppi is that somewhere down the line we may need these for something else, and so it was a way to try to future-proof the work, so I don't have to go back and touch it up or do whatever. The likelihood of that happening is slim, but I don't know. Maybe if I turn these back down to 300 pixels per inch, maybe then my computer could actually run the program and I could do the work without the issues. Maybe that's what's okay. I'm actually very certain that it's the size that I'm working in that's the actual culprit and issue. So where am I going next? I'm working on the wood right now. So I need to do the live edge for both this, I think it's called a Yule crown. I need to do the live edge for the Yule crown. I need a dark, kind of desaturated gray or brown for the live bark. So with the history state, I'm just gonna, with a bigger brush, just throw down some color here. See how that feels. So that feels like a good base. Let's throw this nougat down on top of it. And so I'm using the same highlight color for all three of these, but because my darker color is changing, it like completely alters your perception of the color. It's that kind of junk that makes color theory so interesting, but also confusing. So whatever. Anyway, so I think I figured out why I kept on bringing the crop tool up is because in order to switch from the foreground color to the background color, I need to press X. And C is right next to X. So I'll very quickly press C and then go, try to press B to go into a brush stroke, but I have pressed C instead and brought up the crop tool. Okay, in order for me to do the color thingamajigs, whoops. Oh, I'm not throwing color all over the canvas, so I can go ahead and do this without the marquee. Because, oh, I added these colors so that I could lock the transparency of the layer. So whatever has pixel information cannot be colored beyond. There's no particular reason for it. I just like a cleaner canvas, but the whole coloring mantra for this one is don't be clean. Oh, that was the other part is, oh, that's what I was even talking about in the first place. I go on tangents, man. Smaller brush for this. So the reason why I'm doing this looser, messier style is that it's a lot faster for me to just jump right into the thing, whereas everything else has like all these making selections, doing the flatting, and making sure that it's all anti-aliased, or that the anti-aliasing is turned off so I get jagged pixels. Which is the other thing about me working in 600 ppi, is that once it goes to print, those jagged pixels disappear. You don't see them. And so, but then it allows me to have that pixel perfect selection so that if I need to use it for something, which is, I used it for everything because it was there, why not? But it inflated my work time. Whereas this, I'm messy all over the place, and as long as I stay out, keep the camera out, coming in and cleaning up after myself is so much faster. The problem is the ability to alter it after the fact is greatly diminished. So the other way that I was doing it with the selections, the flatting layer, shading and highlights being what are these things called? Layer modes. Being layer mode sitting on top of the flat layer, the flats, sitting on top of the flat colors, all working together in a strange concert, is that I could go back and change something. If I didn't like the way this one particular color was looking in this shot or in this scene, then I could go back and change it, or use the selection to alter the way the layers interacted with each other on a more individual level instead of changing everything at once, or having to go back and redraw my selection if I wanted to go in and change something. But the problem is I was giving myself too many choices. And by giving myself too many choices, I felt like I had to use them. If I can do it perfect, why not do it perfect? But that is a lot of time. So that's why a lot of my kits artwork tended to be late, even though we're small enough now at this point that being late with the kit is not a super huge deal. It's unfortunate that I can't tell you, hey, I'm releasing this kit the first Friday of December and it's going to be out, and then that will be the last kit of the year. But it wasn't, and it's not. And then it's like, oh, hey, I'll deliver it Monday. But stuff happened. Things came up and I couldn't get it done. Why did I get on this? It sucks to have to keep on pushing back on that, because my grandpa was the most significant paternal figure in my life for the first 9 or so years of my life. So one of the things he said was that it was your word that mattered the most. That that you gave your words power by committing to what you said. And that it should be, I'm mangling all up as I'm trying to do precision work and talk at the same time. But yeah, these read as completely different browns, even though they're using the same base color. So saving that. So that cleanup job is completely messy. But from your perspective, unless you're watching this on a huge TV, which I watch these back on a huge TV, for the most part, not everyone and not always. But even on a huge TV, I'm not going to see this. But I'm not also going to be looking for it either. But that's in the digital space. I'm zoomed way into this. Whereas once it's physical and printed, you're not going to see those messy lines. You might see a little bit, but it's not going to matter. So my point is, going back to the thing about my grandpa, is that I don't want to sit here and say, hey, I'm going to do this thing, and then not actually deliver on it. Sure, nobody's actually holding me accountable for these things I've said. It's just me. But that doesn't mean that I don't want to live up to what I've said, to the words. So even though nobody's counting on what I'm saying, I'm still letting myself down. And, you know, that's not cool. Or something. I don't know. It's I feel like it's too too heady of a topic to talk while also trying to do something else that's also requiring my cognitive abilities. So like, people can't multitask. I mean, you can, but the more things that you try to focus on, the worse you are at the things you're trying to do. And studies have repeatedly shown that human beings are just not equipped to multitasking. So it was like a long time I believed and wanted to be a multitasker, believed that I was a multitasker. And sure, I was capable of being able to maintain a good solid focus and attention on multiple things. But as I've gotten older and as I've taken on more and more, that ability has diminished greatly. And now I'm very aware that I'm not a multitasker anymore. Like, sure, there are certain things you can do and do well. So like I can do something with my hands and still focus on something else. Oftentimes when I'm not engaged with both of those things at the same time, I feel bored. Or something like that. I feel unengaged. So like, I don't know what I'm trying to say with that, but either way, people are not natural multitaskers. And the ones who are capable of multitasking probably are enabled by some kind of stress or anxiety or elsewise some kind of mental condition, which I don't feel comfortable saying it like that, that allows them to do it. And again, another heady topic that's a little too much for me to try to explain myself and talk through as I do this. Although I do like the way this is coming out. And come back and lighten these lines up just a little bit. And then I'm going to go in and clean up the edges. So as you can see, I'm just building on top of each thing. And then each new set of details is built on top of the last. Kind of trying to work up from the bottom. And as I clean up, I'm not focused or worried about getting perfectly within the lines. I'm not worried about making it pixel perfect. I'm not worried about trying to come back to it later at a different time. So now that I've done all of the wood things in these two panels, I can now darken the background. So what I'm going to do is take this nougat and then fill in those, bring back in the marquee because I'm about to get heavy with the colors. And then I'm going to just bring in a much darker color. Rotate the canvas to try to get that same kind of angle. We're just going to start filling this. Working on a gradient from one color to the other. Actually, let me isolate these even further. Just work on one box at a time. So I'm not particularly focused with having a clean gradient from this much darker, less saturated brown to the nougat color I was working off of. I just want these to be nice and dark in contrast, especially once I get the candles on here like I've got up here. It'll really draw your attention to these candles by having this dark space here. And make that even darker. color. Just kind of replace that nougat color with the lightest color I've got on here on this gradient. Whoops. Just continue to bring that down and in. Bring that darker color a little bit up. And just kind of tap in between the two to soften the transition. All right, and bring back in the history brush. So one of the downsides with the history brush is this is all reliant upon your ability to notice the details about where you've already colored and what you've pulled a previous history state back from. Wow, looking at the previous screen, that looks really good. It's weird looking at the tablet, working off it directly versus looking at the screen over here where OBS is running a preview. Completely different deals. They look worlds different. Now, part of that is the color situation on that monitor versus the tablet. I want to say the tablet's a little bit more saturated and the monitor is a little desaturated. But honestly, they're so close to each other, I really can't tell. Oh. At this point, I don't know how many conversations or topics I've brought up and then completely walked away from. And honestly, I'm probably not going to watch this back to make sure it's any kind of cogent. I really can't, because I've got the face cam in here. I can't edit that and then come back over with a voiceover. I don't have time to also then edit that into. It's a whole deal. By the way, I went to school for video editing, for video production. So when I knew that I was going to be doing these, which was totally my idea, to say that I invited this trouble upon myself, not that anybody pushed me into this, to say that this is a pain in the butt. And most of it is because I don't have all the right equipment. Like, I have a camera that looks good. I have lights that make me look good in the camera. I have a mic that makes me sound good in the thing when everything's working properly. Anyway, I just don't have the computer to run all the things at the same time, which is unfortunate, but with time, fixable. But either way, you should always jump into a project with what you have right now. The best time to do anything was yesterday. And continuing to hold off on a thing while waiting to make sure it's perfect is absolutely my pitfall. So even though it's not ideal to how I would like it to be, I knew that I'd have to just jump into it. What? I was forgetting which key I needed to press to bring up the thing I wanted, which was Y. The Y key. The key labeled Y. You know, the skit Who's on Third absolutely infuriates me. Because it's a skit based on a poor sense of communication. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then just do Google search for Who's on Third, and who knows how many different versions of it you'll find. It can be funny. The original one is funny, and I can appreciate it. But it is... I feel like the word triggering is too strong. But anyway. What was I saying? It sounds like these, I wonder if I have ADHD too. I feel like I don't. Or if I do, it's somewhere else. It's not in a place where people normally associate ADHD with. Because my attention becomes laser focused and it can block everything else out. So I don't know if that's a thing. I've never bothered to be seen about it, because it's I don't know that it's ever been something that's been disruptive. So I don't know. But I do know that I am trying to think critically about what's in front of me, carry a conversation, and monitor the recording. So there's a lot going on. Ooh. What am I doing next? I'd like to do the cake. But honestly, I think I need to take care of this napkin and fork. So, now that I'm here, I think I'm going to switch focus over to completing the one on the right with the cake on the plate. And maybe we'll get to the other one, but it feels unlikely that that's going to happen in this recording. And then next week I'll be on to the next thing. So, I think we're just going to switch focus right here to this one. Activate a new history state and save my work. I'd like to zoom. I want to zoom in. But I feel like zooming in is a bad idea. I'm going to zoom in anyway because it's going to look better in the video. Anyway. Yeah, so this particular coloring method that I'm using is absolutely dependent upon me not being super close to my work. Otherwise, then I do fixate on what's happening, which is what happened down here as I was coloring these garlands. Or was it here? I think it was in this one. I was coloring in these garlands and then cleaning up the work afterward. And I was super in the pixels with it. And nobody's going to see that. I mean, I think it looks cleaner. I know it looks cleaner. I wish everything was cleaner. But that takes time. Time I don't have. Time I don't want to spend on stuff that's not going to be seen or could be appreciated. I mean, sure, you watching is going to know how much time and effort I put into the thing. But not... no one who sees it without seeing this or any of my other work, where I've talked about this repeatedly, is going to be able to see it. So in getting closer, you can already see that I missed a spot here. And then there's those bits out of the line there. And then when I cleaned up the cream of the center of this log bit, I missed a little bit there on the bark. So zooming in is a bad idea. But anyway, let's move on. This napkin, I do want to bring some attention to it. So I think I'm going to go ahead and make it a green color. So we are going to boost the saturation on that. Let's keep it dark still. And then just fill this with color. A couple times because the thing. And we're going to come in here and pick this lighter color. Change the saturation a little bit. And then just try to do the thing. Let me pull that color. And some highlights. Smaller brush. Got about an hour before I need to start getting ready to leave. I don't know how long this recording is going to be. Just kind of figured I'd just let it go. Just let it flow. Ooh, I'm liking the way this is looking already. I want to get in here to get some highlights here. But instead of just getting in there like that, let's just drop the brush size and then just kind of try to lay in some highlights. Just there on the edge. See, I had already completely forgotten that I had accidentally erased a portion of the ink. And with a bigger brush, so we can get in this highlight. And then sample some of this mixed in color. Just kind of blend it in a little bit. Go back to this base green. Yeah, I think that looks good. So super simple. I can already feel being closer. I'm getting a little bit more picky with the brush, although this is a little bit more of a detailed item. Still haven't decided if I want to make the trim of this tablecloth gold. I think that was in the brief, actually. Or maybe it was that the symbols were embroidered gold. Oh, so I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make the trim white to lighten up the scene a little bit. Oh, right. I've already colored this plate, so I need to clean that up too. Oh, as I trace over this line that was broken, I completely forgot that I deleted part of the inks. Until I got right there, and I forgot to notice. Anyway, so I'm gonna color this trim white. I'm gonna do that. Let's sample this color. Push a little more toward yellow. Saturation a bit. And let's see how that strikes me. A little too yellow, but that's almost okay. And then right here, once it drops off the edge of the table, I'm going to leave it like that with that kind of peachish red color. Just come back and hit the line there so the contrast pulls it up. And we'll come in with a little bit more of a tan color. Pull it into that white space. And then to give it kind of a velvety feeling, hit it with this bright white highlight along the edge there. And we'll just kind of pepper that in here and there. come in and clean that up. And then what I'll do is I'll go onto the inks layer and color in the runes with kind of a gold. And then on the glow layer, dang it. Let me just rotate this. Much more comfortable. Whoops. Almost kind of a magical experience to come back with a history brush and just erase all the messy, to reveal what you've already done. All over again. Oops. Oh boy, does that look good. Okay, so with the inks, I need to turn the transparency lock on. And we'll go ahead and start with something that's like a dark brown, dark saturated brown. This one I'll have to get close. Whoops. And for this to read, I'm going to have to go with high contrast. So this dark brown is going to be about as subtle as it gets. I'll clean that back up with black. Just needed a smaller brush to get into those tighter areas. I'm going to go ahead and change my brush. This hard round brush. My phone's across the room charging, so just checking it out. So to get these symbols on this thing, I literally just took this line, duplicated it, and then stretched it into place using the control handles on the corners of a selection. Because I also had to do them here too, at a pretty crazy angle. So just pulling the control levers into the same perspective forces them into the right warp, so they look like they actually are occupying this space. So that was super quick, super easy once everything was said and done. Okay, so now that I've got that, I need a nice highlight. And we're going to make this. And kind of dot this into place, give you the impression that it's embroidery threads catching the light. On top of this cream color, they really need the contrast of the other of the dark the brown to really stand out. Switched over to airbrush, type brush, so I could get a little transparency in this, so there it's not so crazy start. And I'll hit it with one more kind of highlight color. Yesterday when I was working on this kit, I was doing something similar to what I'm doing right now on trees and on the garland specifically. My pinky started feeling weird, almost like as if I needed to move it. It just needed to move from what I was doing and not do what I was doing. So that was one small example of like the kind of weird roadblocks I've had on doing this kit. So this coloring technique is a lot faster than what I normally do. But despite that, I was still having issues because of just trying to get this kit done. Oh man, I'm kind of thirsty right now. Wish I had a bevy. uh, I'm two kind of minds about all those tangents that I went on and not being able to remember any of the conversations I was in the middle of, or the reasons why I have no idea what this is going to be like going back to it. Stream of conscious is not my best format. I don't excel at stream of conscious. My mind wanders too much. Zoom out. Zoom out. Sometimes things don't work the way you want them to. Anyway. That's another great thing about History Brush is that I can go back to a place where none of what I did happened and see how that's changed things. So that was a detour I was not expecting to take and did not honestly account for in the completion of this, but I rather enjoyed it. But anyway, moving on. So I don't remember the color of this log roll. I know the outside was very bright brown, which is a weird thing to say. Where are you? There you are. Okay, so Swiss cake roll. It's a Swiss cake roll. Okay. Get that out of here so I'm not processing more junk. Save my work. So, I'm gonna do the inside of the roll first. The outside is fine. I don't know. The outside is kind of this lighter. Orange. Definitely want more saturated. I feel like that's the right color. Oh, going back to my texture brush. Ooh, definitely got to switch over to the color. Okay. New history state. That is a very red, but it's fine. I'll stick with it. Yeah, that'll be my shade and color. I'm not crazy about this song. Yep. Whoops. Don't think that did anything. Just press the wrong button. Or pressed a button I've never pressed before specifically. Okay. Okay. I feel like that's a very carroty orange. But I'm hoping that when we put it next to the Swiss cake roll colors, that it will be a lot more brown. Read as more brown. Color theory! I'm throwing that phrase around like that actually what it is. I'm still not for sure what color theory is. And I feel like it's one of those things that nobody knows what color theory is. There are things that we acknowledge and accept as actual legitimate perceptions. But that it's something that is probably a lot more personal than many would find comfortable. Although maybe that's just me projecting my own feelings about acknowledging that other people's perceptions are not at all the same as mine. And that is specifically to say, I it's hard for me to perceive and empathize with people who are colorblind, because I can see these colors and I can differentiate between a lot of them. I'm able to tell shades of difference within like a half degree of separate. Well, it depends on how many degrees there are. If we're talking about like 100%, I don't know. Maybe I can see 500 different shades of whatever. I don't know. I'm throwing numbers out there with absolutely no backing behind my claims. What I'm saying is that I am able to perceive a difference in color better than most people I've met in my life, and by no means have any kind of scientific metric to actually quantify that in a discernible or legitimate way. But either way, my point is that being able to reconcile that other people don't see or think the same things that I do is really hard. It's really hard to accept that. Where's that nougat? I really wish you would just zoom, because the combination of keys that I'm pressing is supposed to make you zoom. But whatever. Anyway. I am assuming that the bits with the squiggly lines are supposed to be the cake. And the bits without the squiggly lines is supposed to be the creme. Creme. Or, you know, whatever I was trying to say. Definitely need a darker color. Darker still. And more saturation. Because sometimes getting darker doesn't make it blacker. But I am not fond of using black in colors anymore. Mostly because it's just not interesting. And also because almost nothing in the world is actually black. It's usually just gray. Or, you know, whatever. I don't really want to get... I still dip into them. I'm very much dipping into them, but I don't want to try to get any more philosophical on this recording. Just slather it all over the place. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. You know who cares? Not me. I care a lot, actually, and I am not emotionally stable enough to be able to communicate that to you in an effective manner. So I taunt and tease you because I don't know what else to do. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, it's that kind of it's that kind of communication with myself that means that has made me decide I don't like who's on third. What am I trying to achieve right now? Because I'm just dabbing back and forth and more or less just painting back over what I've already done. I don't know. Starting to get antsy now that we're getting closer and closer to the time in which I need to actually start wrapping up so that I can actually start getting ready to go. Because here's the deal. The situation that keeps on happening every time I go to the movies. I'm later and later. I get to see less of the previews. Now, it's not that I want to see the previews specifically. I want the comfort of knowing that I was there early enough to see the dang previews. I don't like to be anxious, and there are tons of things I can do to mitigate that anxiety. Being late to a thing is not one of them. But as I get older and become more aware of how precious my time is to me, I found myself being more and more late to things. Which means I'm a little heavier on the gas pedal. I mean, I say that, but within reason. I don't travel at super excessive speeds. But I'm definitely... Well, I'm just going to leave it there. Leave you to infer what I'm trying to say so that I don't have to say it and incriminate myself. Not that anybody's watching this to try to give me a speeding ticket or nothing. Actually, there's a way I can say it. I go fast enough that I don't usually get pulled over for speeding. And when I do and have gotten pulled over for speeding, it was because I was way over the speed limit. For whatever reason. Sometimes it was a speed trap. Sometimes it was, oh, I didn't notice that sign that was 5 minutes ago. Or, hey, I just jumped onto the highway. Now I'm just labeling off situations in which would be analogous to how I was speeding. One time it was because I was driving a rental car and I had the cruise control set to a section where it had a higher speed limit, and I went into an area where there was lower speed. I turned it off and was just going on the pedal, and then it slid in behind me because I guess I was a little too late in slowing down. But then when I was at the speed in which I wanted to re-engage the cruise control, I hit the wrong button and it zoomed me forward back to the original speed I was going. And I was like, what happened? Whoop, whoop. And I got pulled over. That was fun. The cop did not believe that that was the situation. But my sister was there, and I assume that they can attest to what happened. But I don't know. Okay. So we got the creme and we got the fork. And that's all that's left for this panel. Panel? Full box. That's all that's left for this full box. I don't like this color. This color is jank. Oh, excuse me. Well, that's because it's the shadow color. We're going to come in with the lighter color, and it's going to make it look pretty. And dare I say, possibly even delectable. Or what? I don't know what I'm doing. I want to try to create the impression of those little voids, those little pockets of air that gets trapped in the creme. Because I just like to trill. I just like to trill my R's. Leave me alone and let me trill. I was trying to trill when I said trill, but I didn't trill. I tried to trill, but I didn't trill. 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 I normally don't act like this unless I'm tired. Honestly, I wonder if I'm just getting giddy and excited, possibly a little anxious about how long this episode is going, when I've got other things on the other end, things to do on the other end of it. Which includes also, I'm not going to edit this. That's the whole point of me doing this in OBS, is so I can do this on the fly as I go. Also to try to capture a little bit of that live stream flavor, but honestly a little bit better, because as I'm looking at the preview, the amount of desync between what I'm saying and when my mouth moves for the words is very small right now, where I'm pretty sure on live stream, when I'm live streaming, it's like a whole second or 2 or 3 apart. And that is the part that gets me. That's where I really want a computer that can handle what I'm doing over here. Anyway, I think that's it for the creme. The creme. So now, because we're getting all fiddly with these details, I'm getting a little bit more particular about following these lines. Also, these are very delicate lines. The weight of them is so thin. Whoa, boy! Oh, boy! I want one of these now. Just a big old Swiss cake roll? Hell yeah! I need them sweet treats to put on the... I was going to say something, but I forgot what I was going to say. Instead, I came up with something else because I couldn't remember what I was going to say. I need them sweet treats to put on them soft boy pounds. Saying soft boy. Saying I want to be a soft boy. Brings up romantic imagery of cuddling with somebody. Nice. I want it. Let's go. I want it, but I don't want to meet no people. Can I do that? Can I do that? Can I achieve a significant other without meeting anybody? Ah, the paradoxical nature of being an introvert and not wanting to meet people. Boy, that look good. It look tasty. I want it. I want it. I want that. Oh man, I was about ready to go into my closing spiel, but I gotta do the fork. It's fine. It won't take too long. I like this song. There's some crazy colors in there, I guess. I don't know. Whoops. Actually, let me get closer. Honestly, I have no idea what I'm doing with this fork. I'm just trying to create the impression, the illusion of light sources and whatnot. Almost looks like a plastic fork. It's whatever. I'm just gonna go with it. Ooh, okay, there we go. I'm not crazy about the way the fork looks, but I think it's a good enough idea. I don't know. I don't want to touch it again, but you'll be able to look at the finished kit and tell whether or not I came back and redid this fork. I'm hoping I don't touch it because I don't really want to dedicate time to trying to fix it. But there we go. So let's reframe it up with the 2, and then it's what we started the night with, and here we are now. I like that. Got a nice warm feeling to it. I still might go back and add like some kind of ambient shading or whatever to help try to bring out the plate and give everything some added depth. Right now it's looking a little flat. Specifically, there's like no shadows underneath the platter that's holding the cake. There's no shadow under the plate itself. So I might just go back and do something. Just add a little something to zhuzh it up. Because I mean, look at that. That looks like it's on fire. Like those candles are lit. They're casting light. And more or less the same thing here. And I want to do that to this too. Just they feel very flat and uninteresting. And so something like that isn't going to take very much. Although, wow, this looks so much looser than this does. I need to stop spending so much time on these things. Not if I want to get them done. Anyway, so that'll be it for me for tonight. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for enduring my random, I don't know, rants, I guess. And hopefully I said something. Hopefully I actually finished some of those conversations, some of those topics. But yeah, thank you for joining me. My name is Lucas, artist for Fabled Court, and this has been Vernissage of the Court. Good night.